Hey lovelies, this is Annie with Annie Marie. For our project today, I would like you to cut a rectangle out of a fabric that is 5 inches wide and 10 inches long. It can be cotton, jersey, knit, organza, satin fabric of your choice that is in solid or print form. I also love you to get a bodkin or a safety pin. Then get a 1/4 inch elastic that is 6 inches to 10 inches long. Of course, get a matching thread color to the fabric that you picked, and let's do this together. Now, fold the rectangle in half lengthwise with the right sides facing each other, like so. And then using a 1/2 inch seam allowance, sew along the short edge. You can use a pin to hold it together as a beginner, but if you're an intermediate sewer, you can do this, okay? Now, I'm using a foot J for my machine, which has a transparent plastic at the top that can easily help me to do a 1/2 inch seam allowance. You can also use the markings on your needle plate to get this 1/2 inch allowance. Now, start your stitch and make sure you secure your stitch with a back tack or a reverse stitch, and then you sew along the edge. Once you get to the end of the fabric, repeat the same process, back tack and reverse stitch to secure your sewing. And then raise your needle, raise the presser foot, and pull out your fabric gently. Then cut off the excess thread. And this is what you will have. You can use your scissors and just cut off the excess thread and free threads. I'm using a satin fabric, and then it can really give off all these free threads. Now, once you're done doing this, fold the fabric like so with the seam facing you. Now, you can actually open the seam and iron it down. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm not going to be doing that, okay? I'm going to fold my seam to one side, and then I'll turn it upside down, like my seam will be under, and then I'm going to take up the fabric and fold it towards the middle. This is what we call the burrito method. You know, it's like your hot dog inside your sandwich or a sausage, okay? So fold the fabric like this, with these two edges on the outside and the other two edges on the inside. Now, holding onto them strongly, making sure that the folded edges are secure inside and your needle is not going to catch on it, you sew along the other two edges using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, make sure you do a back tack or a reverse stitch to secure your stitching at the beginning, and then you just gently sew along. I will advise you to do this slowly and carefully in order not to catch the folded fabrics on the inside, because this will make you to start this all over again. All right, so gently sew along, and while you're doing this, you need to pull out the folded fabric. Now, for you to do this, make sure your needle is in downward position. Your needle is inside the fabric, holding down your fabric. Then you pull gently. Please, you need to pull gently in order not to break your needle and also cut some tears on your fabric. Okay, so as you're pulling it, make sure you're still arranging and aligning the two edges that you're sewing along. Okay, so pull and sew, pull and sew. Now, once you're getting towards the end of the fabric, you need to leave a space of 1 inch or 1.5 inches if you feel like it, but the smaller the opening, the better, because sewing it together at the end of the day. I like the space to be almost invisible to the eye, whether I'm using my hand to sew it or I'm using the machine to sew it close. So the smaller the opening, the better, provided your fabric can pass through it. So leave that space of 1 inch or 1.5 inches. Now it's through that opening that you're going to turn this fabric inside out. Remember, we've sewn something like a tube. Now it will look like a long tube, and then you use that opening to pull out the fabric inside out, as I'm doing it now. And once you're done, you will see something like this. You can see it's like a very long tube, and you find that opening that you left. Once you see it, then using your bodkin, attach it to one end of the elastic. Like I said, you can use your safety pin in this case, but I prefer using a bodkin. You can attach your safety pin at this end now, and then you insert your safety pin or your bodkin through that opening that you left. Make sure you hold on to the other end of the elastic. Please do not let go of it. And then you push in your safety pin or your bodkin into the tube. Okay, you push it along as you go in order to come out through this same opening where you inserted the bodkin or the safety pin. Please do not let go of the other end of the elastic, because if you do, everything will go into that tube and you will find it difficult pulling it out. You can see the one I'm holding onto the elastic to make sure that it doesn't go in, but the other end of the safety pin or the bodkin is what is inside the tube. Once you get everything out, you push it towards the other side and it comes out. You remove your safety pin or your bodkin, and then you can use your sewing machine to sew these two ends of the elastic together using a stretch stitch or a zigzag stitch. But I will be tying off mine with a knot. Okay, so you can form a knot using the two ends of the elastic. Make sure the knot is very tight and you cut off the excess elastic. Like I said, you can use your sewing machine to sew this in using a stretch stitch or zigzag stitches. Okay, now once you're done, you just push the elastic inside and adjust the material. You can see we already have our scrunchie, but we're not done yet. Remember, we have that opening on one side of it and we need to close it. Now you can use what we call a ladder stitch to hand sew this close, and believe me, this is actually the best technique. Okay, but for the purpose of this tutorial, we're going to be using the sewing machine to sew it close. Now this is why you need that opening to be very small, because you don't want to use a sewing machine to sew that edge and it to be very obvious to anybody that is using it or even to yourself. So the opening needs to be small so that it's going to be a small stitch. Now try as much as possible to sew close to the edge of the fabric. Okay, this will make the stitch almost invisible also. Okay, sew very close to the edge of the fabric, but like I said, the best option is to use hand sewing. Okay, use what we call a ladder stitch to finish it off. And there we have it. Once you remove the excess threads, you have yourself a beautiful scrunchie. Isn't this lovely? I mean, it's looking good already. So you can now sew a scrunchie. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, give this video a thumbs up, share your thoughts at the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and share to people that need this tutorial. See you in the next one.